Can you see the slides okay?
Yes, my Hashmi, ARY da ke bol da ke numanda.
Okay, so I'm Roni. Okay, I'm Roni Marsh from South West London Law Centres, and I've been asked to talk to you today about the services that the local law centre offers. So we do money management, but many other things as well. So there'll be a copy of the slides at the end of this because it's got contact details on and about what we do. So we offer free or low cost legal advice and representation, because the whole point of our service is that we want people to have equal access to law, to assert and enforce their rights, and people to be empowered to engage and benefit from everything a healthy society has to offer. And part of that is giving people access to their legal rights, because obviously if you can't afford a lawyer, there's real difficulty with accessing legal rights. So some of the inquiries we have in, we picked up some over a week, bailiffs at the door, people in rent and council tax arrears, worried they're going to be evicted, people who've been dismissed because they're pregnant, someone who is owed money and they need help to get it back through the court system, someone with an accident at work looking at compensation, and a landlord who won't return the deposit. And these are all things that we deal with as a service. So what do we do? Well, we work in 6 London boroughs. We work in Wandsworth, Merton, Croydon, Sutton, Richmond and Kingston. Plus we also have a small service that goes over into Surrey as well, because there's a big advice desert in Surrey, so we try and help out there as we can. Apart from our money related services, we also do a range of legal advice, housing, community care, welfare rights, debt, employment and asylum. We offer housing possession free of charge legal advice at the county court. So we are at 3 courts, which is Kingston, Croydon and Wandsworth. And we have free of charge solicitors there if you've got a housing related hearing. So that helps a lot of people who don't access advice before their court hearing because they don't know how to, or they're just not able to deal with it at that time. We have an EU SS advice service. Basically, if you're not, it's all about the settled status at the moment. So if you've got people who haven't sorted out their settled status yet, that service helps with that. Got employment advice, quite a big team, cost of living team, free community legal advice clinics in the evenings and webinars for the public. So we've got a really big range of services. So I'm just going to cover some of them and then we'll look at the cost of living that we offer. So community legal advice clinics, they're one-off 20 minutes of free telephone advice. They're all bookable through our online form, which is at the last slide, the links to that. And we currently offer family, personal injury, consumer rights, small claims, general litigation and crime. In the small claims as well, we also cover getting your deposit back from a landlord. If you're a private tenant, sometimes the landlords, there are lots of issues around the deposit scheme. So we cover that as well. We have webinars and workshops. 4 of these have got dates at the moment. So we've got disability benefits, managing your money, universal credit, carers and benefits. They're about 40 minutes long with question and answer time on them. They give you the basic information about them. And then you've got time for questions and answers. And we're waiting for dates because these are provided by a partner. Having contact with your children, which is a family workshop, and keeping your child safe online. Those are not as frequent. Okay, because we offer multiple subjects in-house, we have quality marks and licenses for every legal advice subject that we offer. What we do is we pick people up with more than one problem. So, for example, if you came to our service and you said, I've got a problem with my employment, you'd also be asked about other legal areas that might be related to it, you know. So we'd say, okay, are you having any problems paying your bills? Are you getting all the benefits you're entitled to? Are there any problems with your housing? Things like that. And so we try and pick everything up so people get full advice on everything. So you don't just come to us for one thing and get the one thing. We try and make sure we cover everything. So it's really easy to book our services. It is mostly online because we don't have enough staff to answer all the calls that come through. So for example, on our main reception number, we have 2 people answering it, but the phone generally doesn't stop ringing. We are a very oversubscribed service, but if you book online with us, it's much easier because then we get all your details, book you the appointment, email you back the appointment date. Our money team is much more flexible. You can email into our money team. We've got benefits, we've got crisis, and we've got debt. Those are all directly emailable. And then we've also got a debt direct line telephone, but that will depend on if we've got someone to answer it. We have that staff 2 or 3 days a week. We've got a cost of living crisis line. So for example, if you have a shortfall in your benefits, can't afford your rent, you might contact the cost of living crisis line, and you just leave a message, someone picks it up and gets back to you. Our webinars, again, they're all bookable online. And referrals, if you do refer yourself into us or another service refers you, we'll generally get back to you and let you know if you were successful, if it's something we can help with, if it isn't. So I'm just going to go through all of the different services we've got in the money team, because at the moment everything's all about money, isn't it? Because everyone doesn't have enough money to live on. So debt advice, we'll assess you to see if you need face-to-face telephone or video advice. We might give you a bit of on-the-spot advice with problem debts. Maybe you've got bailiffs and we'll tell you what bailiffs can do. Don't let them in your house, things like that. We provide advice on all types of debt options. And we have a specialist debt relief order and bankruptcy support service. That's if you want to go bankrupt, if you want to get a debt relief order, not if someone's doing it to you. We have an intermediary service, which means that we can submit your applications through the correct channels, which is something when you get advice, you also need this as well. It's the higher level. And all of our advisors can offer breathing space. Breathing space is an amazing new scheme, started on the 4th of May last year. So it's really, really new. And when you're having an emergency, you can apply for all of your debts for action to be stopped on them. It works with some debts, not others. It's quite a complicated thing, but it does stop a lot of debt options. It can stop bailiffs and things like that. So it's a really, really popular service, applying for breathing space. And then we can challenge some debts for enforceability, whether they've been taken to court out of time and whether you're the liable person. So we do a range of things, and obviously we're always offering people food bank vouchers as well. People are really, really struggling at the moment. I would say we offer 2 or 3 food bank vouchers a day each, our advisors, because people are overwhelmed and can't afford things at the moment. I think it's about an 11% interest in the cost of living that's gone through at the moment. So that's our food and all our bills, they're just going up and up. Okay, so we've included some case studies about debts. Caroline, not the real name, by the way, was addicted to alcohol and struggling with her mental health, and she got referred into us because she couldn't afford her finances. She couldn't deal with things, and she was referred into us while she was undergoing a treatment plan as well. And she came back to us, and she's just buying a house. So people do come through debt and go out the other side. And it was a real pleasure to have someone come back and tell us about it after so long, because otherwise you just never know what the long-term outcome is. Okay, so I'm just going to look at our crisis navigating, which is part of our cost of living team. They offer help with money management skills, grants. Applying for grants is where you haven't got enough money to get something. For example, you might need a fridge or freezer, your one might have broken, you haven't got enough money to apply for one, and we try and find charities to apply to for people who don't have enough money to buy things. We've done recently fridge, freezers, beds, school clothing, all sorts of things, because people just they're on the breadline, they don't have enough money. We do benefit checks, benefit applications, the basic ones in this team, helping people to gain digital skills. Obviously, you're all online with me today, so you have digital skills. So you'll probably be well aware how much people miss out on if they don't have digital skills. We're just applying for specialist funding to do digital skills workshops with people we come across, specifically aimed at, you know, you've got a problem, here's how to look it up online, here's how to use email, here's how to chase people up, here's how to keep an online record of stuff. So, you know, using digital skills to make sure that you can enforce your rights. We look at exemptions. Some people can be exempted from paying certain things. We look at any exemptions they can claim. Our last exemption we did was someone with council tax who was a carer for their adult child, and it made them invisible for the purposes of council tax, so they got 25% off their bill. We do discounts. We are always applying for water help and water shore discounts, and we also talk to people about, if you come to the end of your mobile contract, have you considered going SIM only, so you're not paying a really large amount of money. People who are at risk of disconnection for gas and electric is really high now. And when we talk about disconnection, we don't mean the company coming along and cutting you off. If you've got a smart meter, you might have seen it in the newspapers, they can just press a button and it changes you to prepayment meter, where you have to top up the meter before you get gas or electric. Well, what happens if you haven't got any money to top up the meter and you can't get gas and electric? So we help out there. We don't have money to give people, unfortunately. We're absolutely broke as well as a charity. But what we do is try and get them some emergency credit from the company, and then try and look at grants to help out. And again, crisis navigation team do food bank vouchers. And we do a lot of outreach services with this team. So for example, we cover 6 boroughs. So yesterday, the team went along to the Croydon Carers network, and they met all the carers and talked about all the way that they could save money on all different types of things and how to find out what benefits they're entitled to. So these are really good because we're trying to get out into the community with this team. So here's one about our crisis navigator. We've got a case study here. Our crisis navigator came in for our housing service because a parent had died and they were trying to take over the tenancy. They didn't have any benefits as a result around the housing. So once the tenancy got changed, they helped the person, Miguel, not the real name, to apply for a single person discount, 25% off the council tax reduction. Obviously, it's also called support in some areas. We put that in as well, so you know which it is, to get a lower bill through help with benefit. And personal independence payments, which is a high level disability benefit for people who really struggle, who need at least 1 hour help per day more than someone without problems would have. And they also got in the housing element of universal credit. And yeah, his mum had passed away, and basically he came out the end of it with a secure property, receiving all the benefits he was entitled to, and he was able to go forward. So that was a real success story for us. And then we have just and only just launched a welfare benefits team. They started in the middle of September, so they are really new. As soon as we open the doors, we've got about a month and a half waiting list because there aren't enough welfare benefits services in the part of London we're in. But they do things like discretionary housing payment. This is where you don't get the full amount of help with your rent, and you have a shortfall for some reason, maybe bedroom tax benefit cap, something like that, and they can apply for a top up. Or if you've got massive rent arrears and your home's at risk, they can apply to try and get a lump sum. No success guaranteed, because obviously you're applying to the council, but at least they can put the applications in. Council tax discretionary reduction. If you do not have enough money to live on and cannot afford to pay your council tax bill, it's an application to write it off. They do a lot of benefit checks, a lot of disability benefits. We've got 4 levels of disability benefits. Disability living allowance for new applications, it's for up to age of 16. Personal independence payments, their working age, and attendance allowance are for pensioners. And they also do working age people. You have a test called limited capability for work, and they help out with filling in the forms for those, where they're seeing if you're fit for work or not fit for work, and you can get extra money with your universal credit as a result. But it's a very popular service, this one. So we've got a couple of other case studies, and this is just a nice example of how people come into us and all the things we do. So her visa has expired, Deirdre, and she was living with her 4-year-old daughter in a 1-bedroom council flat. So she came into us through an expired visa, got food bank vouchers, obviously helped with the energy bills. Maha, who used to work for us, did all of that. Hadra, who's one of the housing people, helped with the housing. Eunice, who's one of our debt advisors, helped with that. And then in June, and this was last year, they got their indefinite leave to remain. Maha applied for universal credit. She was one of our crisis navigators and discretionary housing payment. But then the National Zakat Foundation grant was done as well, and it got rid of most of the rent arrears. So it's the whole point of a holistic service. You come in with one thing, we offer you everything we can offer you, because our goal is to make sure that we don't just deal with one problem. At the end of it, you are okay, you know, and you're able to have everything sorted out. We can't guarantee that, but that's our aim. So thank you very much for listening to me talk today. And did you have any questions at all?